baby. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying. So goodbye to all the hurt and crying. Things will change and you, so how can I expect something new? It's the same old thing.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is June the 26th, 2025, and today the topic is the Renaissance of Faith and Love. Happy Thursday. It's Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Wednesday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Man, look, okay, 4 days in a row. This might be a thing now. I'm just going to keep going with the Lord and see what he do. But, man, it's been an interesting morning. What time did I wake up? 3:25. I don't know. Something crazy like that. And it might have been 2:35. But whatever time 2:58. I don't remember. But long story short, I woke up from a dream. And I, started to write it down, and then I started to interpret and things like that. And it was very, very interesting. The more that I was going over my dream and, taking the bits and pieces and trying to figure out, okay, well, Lord, what are you telling me today through this? I did make a note of the time that I woke up as well. But it's not necessarily significant to this because I didn't use any of the verses to get to today's conversation per se. But it was relevant in my dream interpretation and whatnot. And so, long story short, I might not get too deep into the dream, even though it wasn't that deep. I just remember certain things that happened. So I remembered, I guess, being on some type of vacation or something like that. At some point, I felt like I was flying. I felt like I was in a dream cartoonish type of world, and I was flying, and I was like, it was bright colors, and I was just proclaiming all these things over me and my husband. And towards the end of that part of the dream, I was like telling him that, okay, well, first of all, it is not too foreign for me to share with you guys my thoughts about my love life as well as my thoughts about like our relationship and stuff like that. Y'all should know, if y'all been following this channel, where I'm at with all of that. Again, y'all might remember that was a struggle last year, dealing with my feelings about those things. And then I came to some peace and some understanding and, some grace and some mercy and whatnot from my husband. And, and I'm in a better place mentally about it. But anyway, that plus a former written Jew should have shared with you guys about like my husband's kind of insecurities about his physical appearance right now and stuff like that. And I bring those things up to say that in my dream, I was telling him, basically, no matter your physical appearance, no matter where we are, I love you, I want you, all the different things. I said it in a more poetic and beautiful way in the dream, but I'm trying to just go ahead and get to it, man, because I got to get ready for work. But anyway, so I was doing all this in the dream, and then at some point I woke up in the dream. It was like I woke up, because it was like I was dreaming in the dream, and then I woke up. And I was sitting next to my husband, and I was wondering, did I say all that stuff out loud? Like, was I loud and said all that stuff? And so I asked him, but before he could answer, it was like some lady came up, and I guess was looking for the source of the noise. And I didn't let everybody know it was me, whatever. I just kind of was letting her walk and look around. And then at some point, I think it was like my sister next to me, and she asked to use my sister's phone, and then she called, I guess, a number, which ended up being my number, I guess, because I felt my phone vibrating in my purse and stuff like that, but I didn't let it be known that it was mine. But but I can hear the chirping and I can feel the vibration, but I just kind of was like, you know. And then after that, we went to like this buffet, but it reminded me more of like a college, you know how a college campus would be, and then you have these different stations, maybe even a cruise, like how they have different stations and stuff like that. It was kind of like that. And so it was like me and my husband went to this omelet station, but there was nobody there to serve the omelets, so we was like making our own and putting toppings on it. By the time I woke up, I know all of this may sound crazy to y'all, and I get it, you know, but I guess I share it to say that like it was very interesting. So as I was going deeper about like, okay, well, Lord, what does this mean, and you know, interpreting and things like that, I guess I just was getting a revelation about like this renewal of love, this, you know, the fact that I was proclaiming and speaking over, you know, our life and our romantic life and all these different type of things. And I even was noticing the colors and stuff like that. And it was very interesting because yesterday I was thinking about not our anniversary this year, but next year. Because if again, you've been following this channel, you know we are about to hit the 10 year milestone next year of our wedding anniversary. Look, to God be the glory. Look, by God's grace and mercy. You know what I'm saying? We should be seeing 10 years next year if the Lord's will. And, you know, we're trying to plan a getaway if possible. And one of the things I was thinking about yesterday, because I'm also turning 40 next year. So I'm like, listen, I want to celebrate both things. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both milestones. And I didn't think about that when I turned 30 and we got married the same year. I didn't think, like, these will always be competing. Our milestones will always be competing. You know, my milestone and our milestone together. But we're going to try our best to, if we do this getaway, celebrate both things individually, but together at the same time. But anyway, but I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking about like a color scheme to do for the anniversary, you know, and all this type of stuff, because that's how I be thinking, you know what I mean? And it was very interesting that I was noticing this morning as I was going through my dream that like some of those colors was similar, and I was like, does this got something to do with, you know what I mean? The fact that I was flying over these bright colors, and then some of these colors are the same, and you know, I was going deeper about all of that, and then eventually I remember this painting that I did last week. Matter of fact, I wrote on the back, it was June the 18th. So yeah, last week I did this painting, or I started it because I didn't feel like it was finished. I wanted to add some more to it, but I was reminded of it by the colors, and then I was reflecting on all this stuff about love and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, does my painting have to do with this conversation too? And so I felt led to come in. I felt led to show it to you guys. So here it is. Here's my little artwork. Okay, I did it at a random time last week. Like I said, I felt like it wasn't finished. I wanted to add some stuff to it. I don't know what it was gonna be, but probably like some stickers or something. And you know, at the time, I'm like, this is so weird. These colors, whatever. You know, I'm drawing hearts. I'm not thinking that deep about it. You know, because I just was making some random art, but the more I thought about my dream, the more I thought about me flying around, saying all those things, speaking these words. I just felt led to believe that this all has something to do with each other. And I know that may sound crazy, but eventually I ended up thinking about, well, actually I didn't have a name for it. So let me show you guys this part. I didn't have a name for the painting. Because again, like I told you, I didn't think it was done. I don't know if I do think it's done. It might be after this revelation, but I mean, I still might want to put some words or something on it. But anyway, I'm thinking about calling this Love in the Wind now, based on my dream and based on this. So I guess the painting is called Love in the Wind. And as I was reflecting on that, I was taking breaks in between because I still felt tired. So I was like, well, let me just go back to sleep. Maybe this stuff will make sense in a minute. You know what I mean? And then by the time I woke up a few other extra times, basically what I was receiving was that, like, the title. I ended up receiving, you know, the Renaissance of Faith. And then eventually, you know, I received the Renaissance of Faith and Love. And so that's where my topic comes from today, guys. I mean, I know I took a little long time to get there to let you guys know where it came from, but I just wanted you guys to know those details before I get into this juice. Because, again, I believe, before I even get into the juice, and get into these verses that I feel led to share with you guys, I believe if anybody has discernment in these days and times, then you may see, feel, and understand that a revival is on the way, especially for the church, right? Especially for Bible believing people and things like that. There's a bit of a revival kind of happening, I would say, right now. Maybe more is to come or something like that as well. And so, I mean, I don't know where you are spiritually. Whoever's listening to the sound of my voice, I don't know where you are when it comes to the revival. Maybe you're being revived right now, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you are already in the midst of it, or whatever the case may be. I hope you're on that side versus like not being aware or into it at all. But there's a revival happening, and I think God wants to do a revival in each one of us. And so, I was getting encouraged and inspired to I guess not be ashamed or shy away from, again, the revival that's taking place in my life with, yes, my marriage and all this other type of stuff, but even with the Lord, because these paintings and these things that I'm taking the time to do, for me, I kind of just wanted to take time and just kind of do them, because I've been on this journey ever since last year to, and I know it's gonna sound weird because I didn't necessarily share it with y'all, I don't think. Or maybe I did, but I can't remember. I want to practice or get better at intimacy with the Lord. And I know that might sound crazy, but I guess we all got to figure out what that means, in our own lives. But I think for me, I just was like, how can I make intimate time with the Lord? Like, I'm already spending this time like with these dreams and this time interpreting, and I really do enjoy this side of my life where I'm able to do that and feel like I'm hearing from the Lord every day and receiving, and then now I'm back to sharing again, which is such a beautiful thing and stuff like that. But I feel like I could go deeper with my intimacy with the Lord. Like, yes, I'm curious about him and his will and his way, and I'm taking out that time to listen and hear and pray and dream and things like that. But even with realizing that this painting might have been prophetic, right? And I know y'all probably, maybe y'all think I'm weird. If you think I'm weird and you're not understanding what I'm talking about, then that's okay. You know what I mean? Because I received confirmation that that's okay. That you may not get what I'm saying. But I feel like with me dreaming of what I dreamed and the coloring and everything, and then realizing that, okay, this could be love in the wind and God is doing something deep with this idea. And I just painted this last week, not even thinking that it was done. And then now I'm dreaming, and it's kind of like I was flying and dreaming this, if that makes any sense. Like, I was flying over this, speaking love all around, and me and my marriage, and I don't know how else to explain it to y'all. But for me, I felt like the whole thing was a prophetic moment to where I was like, okay, well, Lord, there's something to this time of taking time and having intimacy with you. There's something to this call for a renaissance in faith and love. I was reflecting at some point about the Sadducees and Pharisees, and I did a little bit of digging, not too much, but a little bit of digging into like those groups and stuff like that. And obviously we know that Jesus rebuked both of those groups, right? Because ultimately they didn't have that intimate time with the Lord. Like, they weren't in alignment and or agreement, so much so where when Jesus came, they rejected him. When Jesus came, they knew all the Bible and they knew all this stuff, but then they couldn't receive Jesus. They couldn't receive the gift. They couldn't receive what the Lord was doing. And so I don't know if this is encouraging and inspiring already. I don't know if this just sounds like a bunch of I don't know what you think. You know what I'm saying? But if this is resonating with you and if you're understanding what I'm saying, then I hope that you guys can receive this and, I guess take it with you, and hopefully it'll be encouraging and inspiring to you. So with that being said, again, like I said, I feel like the Lord wants us to have a renaissance of faith and love. So let's talk about this word renaissance real quick, friends, okay? I ended up writing just the second definition. I didn't write the first one. So the second definition says a revival of or renewed interest in something. This is what I believe that the Lord wants us to have with him, right? He wants us to have with our faith and with love. Obviously, if you go deeper about, the words faith, love, you could always look in the Bible about what those things mean and, how you can go deeper with it and, love for God, love for other people, different things like that. We're not necessarily doing that today. I guess I'm just leaving you guys with little sparks of inspiration. So yeah, so that's the first thing I felt led to write down, the definition of Renaissance. But then as I was going deeper into the verses, I did go to openbible.info and I plugged in all of my little phrases. But eventually, the only thing that I felt led to start writing down verses with was the two phrases. I split up Renaissance of faith, and then I also did in a separate window. I went back to openbible.info and plugged in Renaissance of love. So I did both of those, and that's where I got my verses from. Because when I plugged it in together, Renaissance of faith and love, I didn't necessarily, those verses weren't resonating with me. And then I thought that, you know, the title that I came up with for the painting, I thought that was going to be today's juice. I thought that was going to be the name, but then I was like, I looked up that and it wasn't resonating as well. So, you know, so I split up Renaissance of faith, Renaissance of love. You guys can do that at openbible.info. Check out those verses. I didn't even put that in the go deeper section for you to do, but if you want to do that, and see the verses yourself and see what the Lord wants you to see, and you know, and hear from that, feel free. But when I did it, these are the verses that I felt led to share. So this first one, or the first few verses, friends, because you had me writing down some long verses today, but it's all good. It's all good. Hopefully, again, it will help and bless you. Song of Solomon. This first section is from Song of Solomon. It's 2:10 through 13. Now, before I even get into this, man, we know how Song of Solomon can be. You know what I'm saying? Or if you read the Bible, then you should know how Song of Solomon can be. And it's, you know, very poetic, very sensual, you know, and everything like that. And, well, I don't know. Let me not get too deep into that. Let me go ahead and read these verses that I felt led to share. And I think it's a bit inspiring for the, you know, for again this renaissance of faith and love. So here we go. It says, "My beloved speaks and says to me, arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. For behold, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away." So, friends, if you make this thing personal, right? If you put yourself in that picture to say that the Lord is speaking to you and calling you his love and saying to you, come away with him and things like that, then I think you already are feeling me right now when it comes to this renaissance of faith and love. Like, I believe that the Lord wants us to come away with him, right? To go to those secret places, to, you know, he wants to show us, you know, the fruit of the land. You know, he wants to, you know, he wants us to bask in the beauty of his creation. Like, there's just so many things that the Lord can reveal to us when we go to the secret place, right? When we come away with him, when we have that intimate time. That, I mean, and it's such a beautiful experience as somebody that's just doing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just taking out time every day to try, you know. And like I said, even with painting that painting and not even thinking it was done, not even thinking anything of it, thinking it was kind of weird actually, because I'm like, yeah, it's just hearts, son. And then the thing is blue and yellow, and I'm like, man, this is so weird. You know, I'm like, maybe I need to add some stickers. Like, I'm not, you know, it's not done, and then get that dream and just seeing it in a whole different way and perspective today to just even come and share it it's an interesting journey. That's all I can say. So if you feel like you lack intimacy with the Lord, or you know, maybe this is weird to even hear this concept and whatnot, I believe that if you're listening to the sound of my voice today, the Lord is saying, hey, come away with me. You know, let me show you what I want to show you. You know, and again, like they say, we prophesy in part. So I'm not saying that you're going to receive exactly what I receive or whatever the case may be. He might just show you something just for you and him to know. You know what I mean? But I think there's something to, again, being intentional about the time that we spend with the Lord. Being intentional about seeking him and having our ears and eyes open to the things he wants to see and show us and, you know, and say to us. So I hope that was, you know, piqued your interest a little bit, but let me give you guys the rest of these verses that were standing out to me. So, Titus 3:5, it says, sorry, you know how I write. I'm sorry, Mom. Here we go. He saved us not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to his own mercy by the washing of regeneration and renewal of the Holy Spirit. So this just reminded me this morning that at the end of the day, he loves me, right? And he loves each and every one of us. But it's not by anything that we do, right? It's not because I'm so great. You know what I'm saying? It's not because, I'm doing everything right or something like that. It's because of his grace and mercy that he has this unfailing, undying love for me, right? And I hope that you guys receive that he feels the same way about you. So regardless of anything, like I was saying to my husband in the dream, like regardless of the way you look, regardless of where we are, regardless of anything, I love you. Like, this is how he feels about us. And so, and because he feels this way about us, we're supposed to show that type of love to others. Now, I know that might be Pope. You might not even want to hear that. But all I'm saying is, again, you're supposed to pass it on, right? You're supposed to pay it forward. But that's a whole nother conversation. Let's just stay in this part about the renaissance of faith and love. So the next few verses I felt led to put together. And every now and then, when I do the juice, I feel led to put several different verses together because it sounds like one big message to me. But so these are the verses I felt led to put together, friends. They're Romans 12:2. It will also be Ephesians 4:23 and 24. And then it's going to round up with Colossians 3:10. All right. I'm going to just read it all as one big paragraph. But you guys can go back and read them on your own if you feel led to do so. So here we go. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. And have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator. So again, that was 3 separate verses, 3 different places, but to me that sounded like one big message. What is it saying to me today? Basically, first of all, Romans 12:2 is not a familiar verse, especially here on the Jews' Eye. Who knows how many times I've shared that verse. But again, to not be conformed to this world and be transformed by the renewal of our minds, so we can discern what is good. I know we kind of talked about that the other day, how to discern what is good. So we can go deeper with that. Go check out that episode if you didn't see it, to know what is good and what God's will is. And then from there, it's telling us, to renew our spirit and put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. And then it rounds up with saying, again, by putting on the new self, we're being renewed in knowledge after the image of our creator. So, I don't have anything else to add to that. Like, again, this intimate time with the Lord, this renaissance of faith and love is going to be a life-changing thing, a person-changing thing. Like, you're going to become a new person. You may sound a little crazy to those that can't receive it, but for those who can, and for those that do, you can be encouraging and inspiring. And I guess that's ultimately the juice this morning, friends. I didn't have too much to share outside of that. Even for the Go Deeper section, I only put one verse that you guys can just peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. And that's Isaiah 43:19. So go and turn your Bibles to there and just reflect on that today. But I'm going to leave you guys with the Bible verse of today, and that's Matthew 5:6. It says, blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. If the Lord's will. Bye-bye.